Hello, this is Christine. I'm a demonstrator with Stampin' Up, and this is the second alternate card that I made with this month's Paper Pumpkin kit for my subscribers for our class. So this one, I usually kind of stick to the stamp set and ink and go from there, but this one I decided to do something different. So the paper here that I've used is from the Dandy Designs Designer Series paper, which is available until February 28th with a purchase of $120 or more. And I've then added a die cut circle, which will stamp with the sun, a die cut sentiment label. This is with the Stylish Shapes dies. And check these out. So this month's kit came with the Sunshine and Smiles dies as an add-on. So it's got the flowers and the froggy, which correspond with the flowers and the froggy from the stamp set, which is so much fun. So I did my little froggy I did it on Granny Apple Green and stamped it with black ink. And that's right, I need to pull out my black ink. Excuse my reach, I forgot to grab that before I press start. All right, now I've got all my bits. So yeah, there's a couple little steps to this one. It is a simple card to put together, but I've decided to bring in some other techniques. Since most of you have a blending brush, I'm bringing that in. And most of you have either Stampin' Blends or coloring pencils that we can color in our flowers. So that's where I've kind of gone a little bit more adventurous than usual with our card. So in your envelope, you have got a circle, a froggy, some flowers, the sentiment label, the white background piece, the die cut Designer Series paper. This is cut out with the diorama dies, and the actual kit cards, yes, kit cards from the Paper Pumpkin kit, have this shape cut out in some of the cards as well. So I thought it kind of reminded me of that. And then we've got our card base, which is a fresh freesia. So I'm just going to fold that and we'll put it out of the way. Now, for my subscribers, in my email, I had mentioned to have some scrap paper handy because I've been doing shamrock cards too. When I'm using my blending brush, I like to do that over here. I just find it less messy. All right, so what I want to do on the white is use my blending brush to add, and you can barely see it here, which is a bit of a lesson for myself. I've got blue on the top and I've got green on the bottom. And I bet you on the video that the blue is not even showing. So I am going to go a little bit heavier on that. So easiest way to do this, I'm using Balmy Blue. If you're using a darker blue, you might want to test it out on your scrap just to make sure that it looks how you think it will. So I'm just dipping my brush into my ink, just tapping it once to get the solid kind of edge off. And then I'm going in to add the color. And that is not nearly dark enough for me. So I usually start on the edge of the paper and I go in a sort of circular motion. And this is getting to be a bit closer to what I want. Now, keeping in mind that that mask, if you will, or frame is going to go on top of this, right? So it's going to look, when we assemble it, like so. And all of a sudden, that blue is almost gone. Do you notice it? It's really concentrated on my outer edges. So I'm just going to add a bit more and try to add a bit more to the center part. And it's funny, it looks brighter in person, I will say. At least that's my guess. I obviously haven't watched this video yet because it's recording. But yeah, I was really surprised when I looked at my sample and I was like, oh my gosh, it's white. But so this has, I don't know, can you see it? A little bit of blue. I don't want to go too dark. It's a bright sunshiny day as well. So, so you just keep, I go in circles and you just keep going until you've reached kind of the intensity of color that you want. I am going to go just a little bit more. You can always go darker, but you cannot go lighter. So keep that in mind. All right. I think I'm happy. Yeah, that's plenty. Okay. So I'm going to put my blue away. Now, my brush has some blue on it. It's not really coming off at this point, so that's fine. Again, check it on your scrap paper. And I'm going to pull in my Granny Apple Green to kind of do the bottom here to have some sort of grass. So same thing, dab, dab. Ooh, I just inked this ink pad, so it really picked it up. La, la, la. All right, so I'm just kind of blending where the sky meets the grass, and I'm going to stop right there because you can see how saturated my brush is. So hopefully, every time I've used a new color of ink, it's washed right off my brush. But this is really saturated because I just did it. Just re-inked my ink pad. So hopefully this comes out. If not, so be it. I will have a stained brush and that's okay. So that is it for our blending. Now let's pull out our black. And I'm going to put my brush aside because I don't need it. So we need our little frog. This little frog is the cutest thing ever. We don't need that right this second. So what I'm going to do is ink up my frog. And I'm going to stamp it on. I don't know if you knew this, but as a demonstrator, when I'm planning my classes, I'm not allowed to stamp things for you, which is why I've given you the die cut frogs. I'm allowed to do that, but I'm not allowed to stamp it. So, perfect. So that explains the method to the madness, if you've ever wondered. Next, we'll do our flowers. There we go. So I'm sorry if you're getting my head in the shot too. I just really need to get on top of this to line it up. It is easier, admittedly, to stamp and then die cut. But again, I'm not allowed. I think this one might be a little off. Yeah, it'll do. All right, now I also, you'll see here that I stamped the stamp twice on my background. So I don't want to stamp it too low because otherwise they will get lost. Just gonna put this on top to get a sense of where it's gonna go. And you can leave them if you want, or whatever you find easiest. Just make sure not to get ink on the front of your paper. And then I'm going to move this. There we go. And I've got some ink on my finger somewhere, but that's okay because this won't show. It'll be covered. All right, so that is our flowers. Now, before I get into the next color, let's color these flowers in because it's fun. All right, so I'm going to use light Granny Apple Green for my leaves. I'm just using my Stampin' Blends because they're right here. And then I've got Mango Melody. I'm going to use the dark just to do the center of my daisies. And I've got fresh freesia, which I'm going to use on my tulips. Oh, I'm forgetting to do the little one. Now, you don't have to, of course, stick to the color scheme I'm using. You don't have to use different colors. You could do all one color. For the flowers, I'm just kind of having fun with it. There we go. And what other colors should I bring in, do you think? Wonder. So on this one, I used daffodil, I think, and coral. I'm just wondering how dark this will be. That's way too dark. This is the orchid, and that's the light orchid, so I'm definitely not going there. Let's go with the daffodil. For this flower, I'm really not straying too much from my original. And for our flower, I'm gonna just stay on script and go with the coral. So this is, I'm going with the dark, which I had actually used the light on the other one. So switching it up a tiniest little bit. So I'm still not good at talking and coloring at the same time. Okay, there we go. So lastly, we need to do that sun and our sentiment. So you'll see that one side of the die cut is kind of really rough, not so nice, and the front side is a little more polished looking. So let's start with our sunshine. There's so many possibilities with this stamp set too. There's that really cute kite. There's nice sentiments. I really like it. Okay. So the sun is like really the size of this circle. So again, I hope my head wasn't in the way there. There we go. And for our sentiment on this one, let's go with, I'm going to switch it up or use the same one. I'll stick with you sending sunshine and smiles because it's really cute. Sorry, I think I hit my light with my head there. There we go. Alrighty, so that is it for our stamping. Now let's assemble this card. Okay, so that's our sample. Oh, yeah, I showed you the dies. Okay. So we've got our card base. We've got our layer over here. We're going to put that underneath it. So mainly I just want to figure out where I want to place this because this piece is hidden, right? So if it looks better to have it a little bit more shifted to one side or the other, you totally can. So I'm pretty happy with that. So this is pretty centered. So I'm just going to put some glue on the back of that and put it down. Yeah, if your flowers are not quite where you want them, you know, just check it before you actually glue it, so that you're not going to have like something like this going on when you glue it together. You really want to have all of that covered, right? Okay, so that's that. Now, I thought it was really fun to have the sun kind of popping out. And you'll see, I don't know, oh yeah, I did use the same orientation. You could totally flip this around if you wanted to. Doesn't work for me because my flowers are now hidden, but just play with it before you stick it. So I am going to put my sun kind of over here. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the corner here. And I'm actually going to assemble the card before I put this on, before I stick anything else. So this is where some dimensionals come in. I'm fairly generous with them, just because of this cutout. It's not a solid piece, right? So you are going to need a few more to keep things propped up. I'm putting one behind the sun, for instance. So in addition to doing my corners, I'm going kind of midway just to make sure things stay popped up. And we'll go down here and I'll put one there. So I'm going to stick this down, and then we've got our 3 other pieces to put on. We're getting a winter storm here in Ottawa tonight, apparently. We'll see what happens in the morning, but anyway, apparently it's coming. And I was just so happy to see this spring themed kit because I'm so done with winter. So I'm going to center this. Looks pretty straight to me. Straight enough anyway. All right, so that's pretty cute, right? But we're going to put our sentiment down. I am just using glue to do that part. And we're going to put it right side up because I find it just looks better. So it might have been a good idea to put this one on before gluing the top layer, but anyway, it's fine. So I'm just trying to line it up. I do want it to be straight-ish. Okay, and then I'm going to put my froggy. So I'm going to sit him this way, and you can see if I don't put a dimensional, he's just going to flop right down, which we want to avoid. Do I have enough? I think so. Hold on. Yes. So just by putting that on his head, we are good. There we go. And then we just got our little flowers to put on. I think I'll add them right about there. So what I want to do is I want to put dimensionals on the back, which means I just need to cut this up to make it smaller because we don't want to see them, right? Okay. Let's do, I think this will do it. Something wonky has happened with my nails, and so I had to cut them all really short, and I missed them. When it comes to crafting, I forget how much I rely on them. And we're just going to overlap and put this kind of in the center. There we go. Oh, not there. I don't want to cover up my sentiment. There we go. So, I don't know if you can see on the video, I've got a bit of white on Froggy's eyes, and I'm just going to show you quickly how I did that because it's super simple and it just brightens it up a bit. I probably should have done this before I glued it, but I think it'll be fine. So I have got basic white ink. Mine's called Whisper White because it's old. I think it's called basic white now. And this is my blender pen. I have had these blender pens for 3 years. They come in a set of 3. I forget how much they are, but they're like cheap. I'm still using my original ones. So I'm actually dipping into my ink here. And it looks really bright at first when you put it on Froggy, but it soaks into the green paper, so it won't be that stark. Usually I would put ink on a block, but the white ink is not like our usual ink. It's not water-based. It's a little thicker. So I'm just dipping into the ink. So I don't know if you can see the difference on the video, but his eyes are a little bit more white. And then when you're done, you just clean it off on scrap paper or the back of your hand. and this guy's good to go. So I love these. They're an inexpensive and very useful tool. So that is card number 2. I hope you like this one too, and I hope you'll give it a try, and you can see the difference in the blending there. It's just much bolder on this one, so I prefer this version. So yeah, please let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.